Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Happy Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Let them know what they're in for.
We'll get into some NFL news ahead of the playoffs kicking off this weekend. We'll get into some coaching vacancies, and if we have time, we get to get into this debate on NFL broadcasters with team ties. But we'll also have Isaiah Juarez, the local MMA fighter who is making his debut at 559 Fights 120 this Friday night at Eagle Mountain Casino. We'll talk to him at 8 o'clock. And then we'll wrap up the show with our boy Holty, Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors. You can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000.
I need to double check and see how the Condors did last night, but they are in the midst of a 3-game road trip up in Abbotsford at the moment. They'll be coming home on Sunday to take on the Ontario Reign. And at the moment, your Condors sit, I believe, 5th, again, depending on how yesterday went, 5th in the Pacific Division right now in the AHL. And it has been some incredible hockey to start out the 2026 year. So you want to be a part of it, get down there to Dignity Health Arena as soon as you possibly can and go check out your Condors because they are very exciting to watch. Lots of fights for those of you who are old school hockey fans and are missing that kind of element to the game. They do still have grit in that way, so they will fight you if they absolutely need to. And we're led by one of the best rookies who myself and Holty highlight every single week. We talk to Holty, Mr. Quinn Hudson, who is awesome.
Pulled out a 5-3 win last night.
Sweet. Fantastic. So, yes, we are moving forward. We might actually even be tied for 4th now, if not in 4th. I'm not sure exactly how the point system works yet. Still trying to get this down. I apologize. But we are a football show, so we need to shift over to the biggest football news that happened yesterday after the show, which is something myself and Sparky have been talking about and calling for weeks now, or at least predicting that it was going to happen. And the Baltimore Ravens have finally made the decision to move on from Coach John Harbaugh after 18 years with the team. Second longest tenured head coach in the NFL behind Mike Tomlin. We've talked about this ad nauseum, I realize, but I think the final straw that really made the GM and everybody in the front office say it's time to move on was Lamar Jackson and some of the players coming out and questioning their confidence that John is the guy, that John is the coach that will get them over the hump. Not that John is a good coach, mind you. I think everybody took that as them saying, oh, this guy sucks, we don't want him here. It's not that John is not a good coach. Mind you, within 45 minutes of this man being fired yesterday, all 7 of the coaching vacancies called him.
Well, 6,
technically not counting Baltimore, but I'm also assuming the 7th was Dallas calling about that defensive coordinator job.
I was figuring it was Miami.
Or possibly Miami. That is also true because Miami is up in the air, and as we've heard in the recent past, Mike McDaniel not as safe as originally reported. So, as Sparky predicted weeks ago, we are now steadily headed towards 12 coaching vacancies because I think we are at what now?
7.
No, well, 7 head coaches.
Yeah.
But if we're counting coordinators, at least 4 were let go yesterday because the Commanders let go
yesterday.
both of their coordinators. Cliff Kingsbury has been let go due to mutual agreement. There is some possibility out there that Cliff will get a head coaching job somewhere else. So they let him go, but they also let go of the defensive coordinator who, again, or I shouldn't say again, it kind of ties into the same thing when it comes to the offensive coordinator of the Lions being let go yesterday. When the head coach has to take away play calling responsibilities from you halfway through the season, my personal opinion, you're lucky to have kept your job as long as you did.
That's what I was thinking.
So, as it sits right now, I believe we're up to at least 10 to 11 vacancies in all of coaching, not just head coaches. Head coaches were up to 7.
Yeah, I think we hit 12 yesterday. But either way, I mean, 7 teams calling about Harbaugh minutes after the news broke. I'm not surprised. And I still think if Baltimore loses this week or Buffalo loses this weekend, I think that's the next coach. But who knows? I mean, I was looking at Harbaugh's stats as a coach in 18 years, and this was going into, I believe, the 9th year with Lamar.
Mhm.
And when you have a guy that's won the MVP twice and you haven't taken him to the Super Bowl, well, I think it's probably time
Well, and
to find a better suit for this guy.
it's not like Harbaugh hasn't had good teams that have gotten to a Super Bowl as well. It's a weird way, or it's a weird story that you can compare the first half to the second, because you're right. I mean, when he first started the Ray Lewis era, I mean, obviously they made it to the Super Bowl and won that one year where the power went out. Everybody remembers that game. Jacoby Jones with the great kick return, all of that stuff. But then they kind of faded off. They still trusted Harbaugh. They still believed Harbaugh was the leader for them. And there were so many reasons to believe that. They get Lamar, like Sparky says, Lamar is an MVP candidate, becomes the MVP multiple times. They still can't get over the hump. There's something about this team, though, that he just has a wall. Like there's just something he can't get through. I'm not sure what it is, but again, and I know I use this example at nauseum, but it's the only one of modern era that I can think of that most people will remember. But maybe this is the Mark Jackson, Steve Kerr situation. Maybe you just need to find that guy that not only will take John Harbaugh's leadership and what he started with, but add his own little spice to it and just get them through whatever wall was stopping them from getting to a Super Bowl. Because at this point, you have the roster, you have the talent, you have the star power. I mean, we've talked about it since the beginning of the year. This has been and will continue to be going into next year, in my opinion, the best roster in the NFL. You need to at least be, what would you say, Sparky? Second seed in the AFC next year?
At least,
At
yeah.
least. I mean, I'll give you some leeway that some of these teams, maybe the Patriots, have an equally as successful season next season, even though they'll be playing much more difficult teams. And maybe the Broncos figure something out offensively over the offseason and they start to actually play like a Sean Payton offense. But as it sits right now, if you can't find a coach that gets you to this number 2 seed, at least in the AFC, I have questions, because this is the best roster in football. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, in my opinion. But
Yeah, much better than an 8 and 9 team.
and you shouldn't be fighting the 9 and 8 Steelers for the division. You should have ran away with that. We should never have had a conversation of Aaron Rodgers is headed to the playoffs again in his 40s.
Now the real question is any of these available teams something that Harbaugh will
Would
take, or is he
consider.
going to be one of these guys that takes a year off and kind of checks his decisions on instead of just jumping into a team? I mean, he's been coaching for 18 straight years.
There
We've
are
seen it with other coaches where they take a year off and kind of, okay, well, maybe this I want to keep or get the best destination, best job. I personally think, like I've been saying off the air, I think the Atlanta job is appealing.
it's nice, yeah.
It's a young, talented team. I mean, there's a few,
I take John Harbaugh in a heartbeat as a
right?
Falcons fan. I would take John Harbaugh as a head coach in a heartbeat. Do I think that he could get us to a Super Bowl? Jury's still out. I have to see what he can do with this roster. But I it's just like Adam Schefter has said a million times over. He is now the best head coach vacant head coach, I should say. And everybody's going to be calling regardless. I mean, even if he wants to consider it or not. There are certain teams where I feel like he won't consider it just because, but I don't know. I feel like there is probably a level of this where we sit there and see John Harbaugh take a year off. I really do. I think there's 18 years with one team to turn around and immediately move to a different city and start over as if nothing ever happened. That's a tough task for anybody. So I would think more that he takes a year off, maybe gets in the booth. Maybe we see him sitting on one of these panels with some of these football shows and talking to somebody. Maybe McAfee pulls him in as their new coach to talk
I
to
was
every week.
thinking what you said yesterday when we were talking about maybe he goes and follows his brother.
I think that's a possibility. That's why I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if that was the 7th team that called, just to see what his entire mindset is, or it was just his brother calling and saying, "Hey man, how you feeling?" You know what I mean? Because I mean, again, we just hear that 7 teams called. We don't know what they called him out. We don't know exactly what is being offered to him, although it'd be outrageous if it's anything outside of a head coaching job. But I don't see him just turning around and picking a team and saying, I'm going there. You know what I mean? And let's look at the vacancies right now that are open for those who don't know. You got the Arizona Cardinals. Meh. There are some bright points, especially with the wide receivers and some defensive players, but they still need to figure out a quarterback situation. And does he really want to start with a whole rebuild? Same goes for the Raiders. Does he really want to restart the Raiders? I highly doubt that. I really do. The Cleveland Browns, although I'm sure he would be open to the idea of playing his former team 2 times a year and showing them, hey, yes, you made the wrong decision. It'd be a toss-up, in my opinion, if he goes to the AFC North again. I mean, there's really no Atlanta, again, like we just said, great opportunities in the offense, and it's a super weak division, so he wouldn't have any problem winning it. I think that's probably the most likely is Atlanta, but if anything, I think he's probably going to take a year off.
Yeah, the other one would be the Giants. I think the
Yeah.
Giants have a young team with a lot of talent.
And the Giants are very much clinged on to Stefanski at the moment as well. I hear
the
that they're
GM,
talking to him.
maybe the GM is the deal breaker. I have no idea.
Yeah. Again, I think at this point, there are certain coaches that are in their or have their own destiny in their own hands, and John is one of them. John's one of those guys where he could walk into any NFL team and get a job right now whenever he wants, but at the same time, because of that, he's probably going to weigh his options and say, you know what, maybe I take a year off and really center myself and figure out what I want to do.
My real question, I know Mike McCarthy, Schefter's been tweeting all morning that Mike McCarthy is now one of the hot commodities. Yep. He's got an interview with the Giants set up for later this week.
Doesn't surprise me.
My question is, why aren't we hearing anything about Gruden
again
or Flores?
Flores,
I'm hearing Flores is people talking about it.
Yes.
But I'm not hearing anything like a team officially reached out to him.
Flores, I think, is definitely being held down, not held down, but you know what I mean? Like the Minnesota Vikings are doing everything possible to stamp down any kind of interest for Brian Flores because they do not want to lose him. But the only team that I hear that's connected to Brian Flores and the potential move for Brian Flores is the Las Vegas Raiders. And honestly, that might be a match made in heaven. I won't lie. Now, when it comes to John Gruden, I mean, both of these men obviously have had their legal battles with the NFL. Both of these men have had rightful battles against their one's former employer, one's current employer. But I don't think John Gruden will ever coach in the NFL again just solely because of that legal battle. The Brian Flores situation with the Rooney Rule and all of that, that's a really bad PR battle for the NFL. That's a completely different thing. They don't want that. They do not want that smoke. Now, the John Gruden thing, they can pretty much blacklist him. They can pull the Colin Kaepernick and no one's really going to shy because Gruden can go on television and get equally as amount of money, if not more, doing nothing like compared to what he would do as a coach. So no one's really crying for Coach Gruden to get a coaching job right now because they know he's still living his life, doing what he wants to do, talking football. So it's kind of two different stories here, but I don't think we'll ever see Gruden back, unfortunately, just solely because of the legal battles. And I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL has a pseudo blacklist on him in terms of hiring practice. Like they won't allow the owners or any of the GMs even to have his phone number in their cell phone just so they don't have any contact with Chucky. So I wouldn't be surprised about the case.
I wouldn't doubt it. I know, like I said, Mike McCarthy's name has been starting to get thrown out. Now you throw in Harbaugh, Vance Joseph, Stefanski. Yep. They're all kind of been the big top names that we're at least hearing that they're getting interviews or getting reached out to. So it's going to get interesting.
And obviously anybody with a former head coaching experience is always going to be at the top, especially with a lot of names of guys that haven't necessarily had the same experience. That's why I said yesterday, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a very coveted name, especially for teams that want an offensive-minded head coach because he has been a head coach and he's learned from that experience that he had with the Arizona Cardinals. Plus, he's still getting paid by the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Commanders now. So that means the contract you're going to give him probably won't be that significant because he's already getting paid by 2 other NFL teams. But at this point right now, I was talking to Rand Dizzle about it yesterday. I still have been just looking over the list of names. I like Vance Joseph. Don't get me wrong. Again, another former head coach. Does he want to leave Denver, though, is another big question. Because it seems to me it's kind of like an Eric Bieniemy thing. Although a lot of people may have him on their board, does he really even want to go anywhere else? And I also think that there's a long list of potentials. There's the Brady situation. There's Slovic. There's Kubiak. There's a lot of these other guys that are could be great, but there's a lot of question marks that come with those guys too. So there's really no runaway coaching favorite, I guess, this year. And maybe that does include Brian Flores. I thought for sure Brian Flores was going to be that favorite. Now with John Harbaugh being available, that's obviously the favorite. But y'all just heard me tell you what the heck I think is going to happen with that situation. So I don't know. The coaching carousel is always interesting to follow in the NFL before playoffs. And honestly, it's going to be the talking point, especially for shows like us, for the foreseeable future until all these vacancies get filled. And honestly, I think a lot of the coordinator jobs that are out right now, the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Commanders, the Detroit Lions, those are just as important hires as a head coach is right now. Because I am in the belief that if you want to be a successful football team in the NFL, you need to have not just one coach, but multiple coaches that have the ability to lead in certain ways on the field to make it so. If you do not have that leadership, I don't know if you make it to a Super Bowl anymore. And honestly, we've seen it right in front of our faces without anybody actually ever highlighting it. But most of the most successful teams in the NFL in the last couple of years have had coordinators that are coveted as head coaches. I know I highlight a lot, but Detroit, when it came to having both Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, who are now head coaches. Atlanta, a few years ago, when they had the top offense, when it was Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan. Then Shanahan goes to the Niners, and look how successful the Niners have been since then. It is just, you have to have multiple coaches. You can even go to Bill Belichick with Vrabel and a lot of the other guys, Matt Patricia. I mean, you need multiple coaches that have that ability to coach or at least be a head coach in order to be successful, in my opinion. Who we got on the phone?
Daily Dave.
Sir, how are you?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, sir.
Shocked right now about the Harbaugh move.
How do you feel?
I'm in shock. I just, I mean, come on. If the guy makes the kick, he's coaching next week. And he'll probably last another year. But here's the most shocking thing. I cannot believe the uniforms that the 49ers played against Seattle. Who the hell do they think they are? The Houston Texans?
Well, okay. The uniform situation that you have to take up with the NFL, they're switching up a lot of these, and with the new, what do they call these? The rivalry jerseys and stuff. They're going to be some interesting ones coming out. I thought they looked great, but
I was expecting my gold and white and red.
Well,
my traditional. I mean, that'd be like putting the cheerleaders for the Dallas Cowboys in Raider black, silver, and black. You know what I'm saying?
I see your argument. I definitely see your argument, but the 49ers have been known to have some interesting, what do they call them? Or what's the best way to put this? Alternate jerseys, I guess, is the best way to put it. Because, I mean, if you really look at Seattle's, as long as we don't need to see those god-awful green highlighter colored jerseys again, I'd be happy.
I seriously thought, go in at halftime, change the damn uniforms, come out as the 49ers, and put these damn Seattle team away. Hey, but I guess it proves Seattle's for real.
Oh, well, again, we need to see what Sam Darnold looks like in a playoff format first before I could say if they're real or not. If Sam can win a playoff game, then I am for sure 100% saying Seattle is at least a contender to be in a Super Bowl. But I need to see Sam Darnold in that format first before anything. And then going back to the original part of your state, I'm sorry, what was the first part that you were talking about as well, besides the Niners uniforms? Harbaugh.
It was Harbaugh.
So I understand why everybody is shocked they let Harbaugh go. And I agree with you. Technically, if the kicker makes that kick, he probably does have a job right now. But there were many situations within that game as a head coach where you could have taken it over. Me and Sparky highlighted it on Monday. You have your running back averaging 6 yards a carry, and you're not giving him the ball. Just the week before, you gave the ball to Henry 40 times, and you won off of his back. Like it just seems to me that he doesn't get it. He's just he he doesn't see the glaring weaknesses in certain teams, and that's probably what led to the lack of confidence from his players, which also led to the firing.
You make a very good point. And the other thing I heard about is my Baker Mayfield. As hard as he that guy,
too many injuries,
man. That Baker Mayfield. I'm surprised they, I know they had it from New Orleans to get in. I was kind of hoping beyond all hope because I just like the way he plays, man. He's like another lineman out there when he plays quarterback.
He has
Baker
definitely
Mayfield.
won me over as well. Don't get me wrong, and that's coming from a rival team as well. But too many injuries, Dave. It's been well documented that he himself was dealing with, I think, 3 or 4 different injuries in his shoulder, his wrist, his knee, and he's a dog. Don't get me wrong, he's playing on all of it. But sometimes when all of those injuries compile, I mean, I think Sparky put it perfectly. I just think the spark was gone. The team that we saw at the beginning of the year wasn't home anymore. Like, I'm not sure what they do.
So, in your opinion, guys, who do you think is the healthiest team going into this 14-game or 14-team format that's going to come on top? Who's looking the best? Who's the healthiest?
I honestly, in the most reliable, but honestly, this is probably one of those years, Dave, where I can look at the entire playoff lineup and say any of these guys could win. Any of them could win. I know the Rams are getting healthy at the right time. The Niners, unfortunately, it sounds like you won't be getting Fred Warner back before this game, or at least by playoff time. So I don't know if he's going to be available. That sucks for them. But certain teams just look like they can be dogs. And I really couldn't tell you.
How about Metcalf for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I see. Okay. I have had many Steeler fans text me the same thing that, oh, this game is going to be different. We're going to have DK. I don't think you guys firmly realize what, and I don't mean you guys as in you as well, Dave, but I don't think Steeler fans firmly realize exactly how Arthur Smith's offense works. And it definitely does not flow through a wide receiver. Never has, never will. It is going to be flowed through a quarterback and running backs. And there have been games where DK has been absolutely non-existent while playing every snap. So I'm not going to sit here and say that DK Metcalf coming back for the Steelers is going to be a game changer for them. I genuinely believe that it's not only going to be a really rough day for DK because he's got to go against one of the best secondaries in football when it comes to Houston, but that entire Pittsburgh Steelers team is in trouble. I really believe that.
Well, I thought the penalty was too harsh.
Really? Even after all of DK's?
I thought maybe a high dollar amount with one game. I mean, literally it almost cost him. But you know what was weird? When that kid missed the extra point, I thought, you know what? They're going to be okay. And even when they were going down, I said, something's going to happen. They're going to block it. And I can't believe that the boy from the Ravens missed that chip shot field goal.
Well, again, we have to remember that Loop is a rookie, and that's probably the biggest moment of his life. I'm sure it was just a minor slip. I hope this doesn't turn into a year of the yips for him. I really do. I really don't. I mean, although it is shocking that he missed it because it was dead on. I mean, it wasn't like he was at a hash mark or anything. It was dead center, but I think he just cracked. I think the pressure just got to him.
Well, look at it 2 years in a row. Last year, their tight end always catches the ball, drops one.
True.
This year, their kicker always on target, misses one. So that's what I love about the NFL. That was a great way to finish the regular season. I was really disappointed in the Chargers and the 49ers, but now, the plate is set. We got 14 teams, 2 are sitting, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs and the national championship run for these 4 college teams.
Oh, the college football playoff could not be a better slate of teams in there too. Every one of those teams as well. I think everybody will be ecstatic to see win a national championship, no matter who comes out. So, Dave, thank you for your time.
You got a Heisman Trophy finalist or winner has a potential. That's good football. It's been a great football year, really. I really enjoyed it, and it's trying to get close to what the Dodgers did. It's going to be great.
I agree that it's been a great football year. I don't know if anybody can do what the Dodgers did, though, Dave. I can honestly say that. We got to take a break, though, my friend. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Let's take a break. On the other side, we will get to some of these college football stories because there has been some interesting things that have popped up in the last day and a half when it comes to the transfer portal. And it sounds like Lane Kiffin may have found himself in hot water already. Let's get to that on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We are also streaming video every single day from 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can come join us on those or on all of the other social media platforms, including TikTok and Instagram. Just look up the Early Bird Special, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. We've already talked a little bit about the college football playoff. They do begin again tomorrow, as the Fiesta Bowl will take place at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow between Miami and Ole Miss. Hopefully, Trinidad Chambliss will keep this legendary run for the Rebels going, and we will see a pretty entertaining finale between them and the Hoosiers. That's my prediction, to be completely honest. But the U has been playing very, very good football, led by a man in Carson Beck who has been there before with the Dogs, and honestly might be trying to make a pretty good argument for himself to be drafted into the NFL and get a job himself going forward. I think that's one of the things that's kind of been eluding him the last couple of years is his stock in the draft has strictly fallen off. And it sucks to see, but to be honest, he hasn't really shown anything that's been, I don't know how to put it, athletically inclined to be better than anybody else at the position. Let's just put it that way. And then on Friday, I'm sorry, not on Friday, on no, yes, Friday, because it is Wednesday, will be the Peach Bowl. That'll be Oregon and Indiana, the rematch of the Big Ten. I can't see anybody but Coach Signetti coming out of this, but Dan Lanning is just as good as a head coach. They could be essentially each other in a time warp. Who knows? But at this point, Oregon's looking to get back into a championship pedigree while Indiana is just trying to win their first. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I really do. And so do most other people in America, since it looks like viewership has gone up about 15% since last year. That's pretty cool numbers. Well, let's move over to the transfer portal because that's where the real noise and news is being taken place at the moment. So we all knew that LSU was going to be using this incredible surplus of money to be going out and trying to lure transfers in to come play for LSU's brand new head coach in Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin last night was sitting down with the top quarterback in that said transfer portal. That would be Sam Lord Levitt, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, from Arizona State. Fantastic talent. To be honest, wouldn't be surprised if he is the next LSU starting quarterback because he is the best one available at the moment until last night. Because last night, something interesting happened. I believe it was a few weeks ago. I'm not 100% sure exactly when it happened, but Washington had convinced their sophomore quarterback to re-sign and come back for his junior season. Mr. Demond Williams Jr., who statistically had a little bit better stats, to be fair, but Washington, I would say, is a little bit more of a talented team as well. Now, Williams is about 5th in the transfer portal ranking, somewhere in that area. Now, the problem with this is he has decided, instead of staying with Washington, that he will be entering the transfer portal just days after he signed a re-signing waiver. I don't think I need to explain to you guys how sports work or how the legal ramifications of this are going to be done. But now it seems to be a little bit of a tampering situation because guess who is the number one choice to potentially pick this kid up? Louisiana State University. About $6 million, I believe, is what's being rumored to be thrown out there for whomever takes the starting quarterback job for the Tigers. But I cannot sit here and say that I didn't see this coming. You can't allow transferring and money to be thrown at these kids without some sort of tampering being done. It's been a thing in college football probably since before I was born, if I'm being completely honest. This has been a thing that's been happening for years. I mean, Pete Carroll got a lot of grief for it when he was at USC. Nick Saban continues to get a lot of grief for it now. People believe that he was one of those guys as well. I don't, but that's what a lot of fans believe. But at this point, LSU now having a ridiculous amount of money to go and give to these guys and tell them, hey, come over and play for Louisiana. Let's go win a natty. You can't sit there and tell me that you didn't see this coming, that some of these kids were going to sit there and say, yeah, I'll re-sign with my team, and then get a phone call a week later saying, hey, your team is shortcutting you. They're only going to pay you $1 million. We'll pay you $3 million. And that player immediately says, oh, really? Transfer portal, gone. Now, I don't know exactly what the legal ramifications are going to be in terms of Damon being able to play, if they're going to try to do anything to stop this transfer from happening, because he did sign a legal waiver, and the University of Washington has come forward and said they will be talking to the Big Ten and making sure that all of this is seen under the eye of the law. So I would assume the Huskies are going to sit there and say, no, you're not going anywhere. But is anybody kind of surprised that LSU has come out as the number one for this kid when, I mean, come on, dude. He's got $30 million to throw around. $30 million. Does any other college have $30 million? No. No, they don't. I'll answer that for you. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, these just influx of memes that are coming from this just solely because Lane Kiffin's on the sideline of a LSU basketball game with Sam Levitt, hearing about Damon coming into the transfer portal and now saying, "Oh, Sam, I have to go. See you later, bud.
Sorry,
bud." But again, is anybody really that surprised? This is going to happen. This is going to be a thing that's going to continue to happen. And a lot of these players are going to learn the legal ramifications of what happens when you do step on the toes of a lot of these colleges. You can't sign a contract saying we're going to re-sign with a college and then leave that college. It's much what Troy Aikman's kind of mad about with the whole UCLA situation. When you take money from somebody and then leave within weeks, people are going to be spurned. And you're not a full professional yet.
The NCAA has to step in and do something to put an end to this crap. And we've been saying it for a while. The portal thing, the commitments, the paperwork, the legal side of it, it's got to be cleaned up. And I think they got to put their foot down real hard and make sure every player, every upcoming high school star knows before they get into the NCAA, the rules and the regulations of portals and contracts.
Well, that I think is the major thing. That's what I was going to tack on top of what you were saying, Spark, is I don't know if it's necessarily the ignorance in that. I think it's more the ignorance that these kids don't understand the legal ramifications of breaking a contract yet. Because you got to remember, these guys are 19, 20 years old. I mean, I didn't know how much trouble you can get into if you went back on a contract at that age. So I highly doubt these athletes do as well.
Well, that's why they have agents.
I know. And that's why the agents also need to step in and do something. But all of this is just hearsay until someone steps up. I've said it multiple times. Multiple television shows have said it as well. Maybe we need Congress or somebody that's, has hands in making these kind of moves that can come in and tell these guys, hey, you need to slow down a little bit, or we need some guardrails. But as of right now, there isn't any. There aren't going to be any that just pop up within the next week and a half. And we're all going to have to just deal with this. But again, if Damon Williams Jr. decides to go to Louisiana State and play with Lane Kiffin, not only is Washington probably going to sue in multiple different directions, but this is going to open the door to a lot of this and a lot of really, really, really bad practices in college ball, which is going to anger even more fan bases, because now all you're doing is literally locking out lower schools. Because what's stopping any higher school from going to any of these kids who claim to recommit to a smaller school and stay there and just throw money at them? Tampering has been a thing in college ball. I'm not saying that it should be a thing. It should be stamped out, always should be. But until someone steps in and helps the NCAA out, because the NCAA doesn't care. As long as they make money, they do not care. They really don't.
And I think that's when, like you said, like Aikman was saying before, and I think other players or other people that donate, whether it's booster clubs or whatever it is, and they start, pulling money out and stop donating. And that's when it's going to hit not only the teams, but the NCAA. So they got to do something. I just don't know if there is a simple way.
That's what I was just about to say.
To please everyone. But I mean, everyone a couple months ago was like, keep the politics out. And now it's kind of forcing the politics to be in.
Right. And again, I was definitely one of the ones that said, keep politics out of sports. And to a point, I still believe that should be the case. But when it comes to this, when it comes to uncharted territory for a sports organization, you need someone to come in that knows how to handle that type of stuff. And the other reason why I think that Congress hasn't gotten involved, but again, this is just me speaking. This is all alleged. Nothing of this is factual at the moment. It's just my opinion. I don't think the NCAA wants Congress helping them because they don't want Congress looking into a lot of the practices. They don't want people looking or legal people looking into a lot of this stuff. I mean, did everybody forget how different the March Madness tournaments look for the men compared to the women? Did we forget what the locker rooms look like and the weight rooms look like compared for the men and the women? And you think a lot of people are going to be okay with that? Just looking over that? No. So I don't think the NCAA wants any help from Congress, although they need it. But again, I couldn't agree with you more, Spark. I just don't think a lot of these kids understand, though, the legal ramifications of what happens when you break a contract. And hopefully Damon is not going to be used as an example, but when you break or breach your contract, kid, that's not okay. It's really not. And you're going to learn very quickly that there are legal ramifications for it that could end up potentially, I would assume, shelving you for a year. Because if you signed a legal contract playing for one team for a whole year, I would only assume that lawyers would go forward and say, well, you committed to playing for the Huskies, not for the Tigers. I'm just using the Tigers as an example. He's not transferring there yet. But if he moves on to LSU, I could see them saying, unless you play for the Washington Huskies, you're not allowed to play football this year. I can see that.
You come from 1 million to 3 million to nothing.
Exactly. And then you shoot yourself in the foot. You lose
You
a whole
get
year of
nothing.
eligibility. And let's be honest, who's going to say that LSU's not going to look for another quarterback the year after?
Of course.
That's how sports are
Or if
going.
he gets a better offer, he doesn't jump.
Right. So again, this is going to be a really sticky situation as it continues. Lane Kiffin once again putting himself in the worst possible limelight right as you become the head coach here. And everybody's already talking about how your coaches are having to choose between coaching at Ole Miss and going back and helping you with the transfer portal. So he just continues to put the bad guy hat on in the NCAA. He really does. And honestly, I said it yesterday or the day before, but there is no bigger villain in NCAA football than Lane Kiffin. I think he likes it that way. I genuinely do. But that's just me. Let's take a break real quick. We'll get to some other news on the other side. Trinidad Chambliss is trying to fight for another year of eligibility, and I personally believe he has a pretty valid argument to get it. Does the NCAA fold, though? They've already said verbally back in December they will not be giving it to him. We'll see what happens as they are evaluating his entire situation as it goes right now. Plus, there's some other stories that we can get to. I know Texas just lost Arch Manning's roommate. And I would also like to get into this conversation that Sparky brought up earlier. A lot of you, or I shouldn't say a lot of you, but a lot of officials are getting very upset with former players and analysts moving into certain positions within football organizations in the NFL. And personally, I don't see a big deal. I really don't, but I guess there's a little bit more to it than something maybe that I know. We'll get to that on the other side as well. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. I don't know if I've ever heard this one. Is this a mashup or is this actually one of his songs?
About 3 years old.
Is it
Good
really?
song.
Okay. Maybe that's why I kind of fell off on his music for a while. But welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We do not nearly have enough time to get into the former players turning team presidents and whatnot. We'll get into that probably after our conversation with our guy Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors in the second hour. One thing that I did want to highlight, just because I thought it was hilarious, honestly, when I saw the headline. But did you see that the Oakland A's were denied the trademark?
Denied.
Or well, at least the Las Vegas version of the A's was denied the trademark due to being too generic. And again, I'm more making fun of the board at this point. Do you not understand who you're giving this trademark to? The team that's literally used the name the A's or the Athletics since 1901 when they were in Philadelphia. And then they moved to Kansas City, and guess what? They were still the Athletics.
It's gotta be difficult to patent something as generic as Las Vegas Athletics.
I get that don't get me wrong. I get that it's generic. I get that it's super lame at certain points. I mean, the reason they didn't let Utah use the Yetis for their hockey team is because it was too close to the cooler Yetis. Like, they didn't want the two being confused. Totally understand that. And that's why we have a board to really, vet all these things and say, hey, that's a little too generic. I need you to spice it up a little bit. But this is a professional baseball team that's been around since literally, I don't know, 1901.
I think it's time to change it.
I thought they were going to go to the Aces or something like that, or, like mimic what the basketball team did, maybe even like the Spades. How cool would that be, actually? If Las Vegas just had all of their teams be like the Aces, the Spades, the Clubs, the Hearts, all that. I wouldn't be against it. Well, I guess you leave the Hearts out. That could be the Raiders. But
Broken Hearts.
Yeah, the Broken Hearts, exactly. But I thought this was interesting. I was like, I get that you have to vet all of these, and I completely understand that, this is what you do. But you did know who you were vetting, right? You did know who was asking for the Las Vegas Athletics trademark. Like, you do get what they were trying to do. I figured this would be a slam dunk. I figured that in these types of situations, we wouldn't have this kind of a thing.
Especially in Vegas.
Yes. And I mean, it's not like they weren't just building a $2 billion complex out there in Vegas for the last couple of years, right? I mean, they're not just spending $380 million on other stuff too. And this hasn't been a talking point for God knows how long in baseball. But I just thought that was funny. The fact that a board was telling the now to soon be Las Vegas A's or Athletics, you're too generic. You need to pick a different name. What? Like, there ain't a lot of baseball fans that are apparently on this board. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
We're just anti-A's.
But again, I like you, Sparky. Did think that maybe they should spice up the name a little bit, change it. But it sounds like they want to at least keep it the Athletics and keep the tradition alive that has been alive for over 100 years. So who's to say? What we got on the text board, my friend?
We have to mention most fourth quarter blown leads when mentioning Harbaugh's resume.
True, but again, when you have a career of 18 years with one team, that kind of allows you to have that many losses in the fourth quarter. Although you're not wrong whatsoever. Statistically, that is true. So there are a lot of reasons that led up to it. It's just like we said about Stefanski yesterday. They aren't firing these guys for no reason. There's never going to be a head coach that just gets fired because they just want to fire him because he's been successful. It just won't happen. So,
and I think the next one says Sparky Schefter reported this morning on NFL Live that Miami is pushing hard to get Harbaugh and Monken to join him in Miami. And I mentioned yesterday our defensive coordinator is from Baltimore, coached with him. I'm not going to get my hopes up because I know Miami and they shoot themselves in the foot. And personally, looking at the 7 vacant head coaching positions, I don't think Miami's the one.
No, but okay. Again, where do we rank Miami though in the would be 7? Because obviously he's not going back to Baltimore.
I just don't see it.
You don't see it up there?
With all the Tua drama and
I think you're a better
Tyreek's
job.
drama, I just don't think it's it.
I think Miami's a better job than Arizona. I think Miami would be a better job than Cleveland.
Tennessee,
definitely. Atlanta, maybe not, but that's just because of the young talent Atlanta has. If we didn't have Bijan, I would say that you guys are better than Atlanta's job as well.
I think there's some missing spots in the defensive side. Obviously, you're going to get some money back if you can clean up the Tua and Tyreek deal.
Yes.
And there's A-Chain, there's Waddle. The offensive line's built a little bit better. There is some young talent there. I don't know. I know Harbaugh and Ross go way, way back with their families. I would love to have it, but I just don't see it. If I was Harbaugh, I would be looking at Atlanta. I would be looking at the Giants job.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, maybe he's tight with the defensive coordinator. Maybe the option of bringing his offensive coordinator with him, maybe that changes things, but we'll see.
The Giants job is interesting. That is probably outside of Atlanta the favorite. But again, somebody who's coached with a single team for 18 years, working anywhere, period, for 18 years, and then just being asked to pack up and leave, that's got to hit you.
And what if Baltimore or Buffalo gets knocked out? That might be a hell of a job too. I'm just saying,
right.
if a wide receiver away and you walk in and get that, James Cook, Josh Allen on your team.
Buffalo breeds different issues though, because where you are correct, they do technically have a better idea. Financially, they are probably the worst out of all of them because they are in shambles over there in Buffalo.
You get a veteran coach like Harbaugh over there. He couldn't do it with Lamar. You think it'll be any different with Josh Allen?
And that's the other thing I'm thinking too. It's like, as nice as that would be of a pairing on paper, I just don't see that being a possibility, to be honest. I think he would go to Miami or Atlanta first or New York, but that's just me. Let's take a break. We'll talk to our guys from 559 right after this. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We are also streaming video live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Come join us on those social media platforms, as well as Instagram and TikTok. Just look up the Early Bird Special. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. But it's time to talk with our friends over at the 559 Fights. And we got a guy making his debut this weekend at 559, number 120. That's our friend Isaiah Juarez, a lightweight fighter. He'll be joining us right now. He has a 3-2 record as an amateur, and this is his first fight in almost 2 years, which is interesting to me. We're going to get into that right now. Sir, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm going to start there, my friend. Your last fight was in February 24th of 2024. Why the long wait between fights?
It was honestly a big mental game after
Yeah.
that, taking a loss like that, having to have that 4-hour drive back to Vegas to go train a little bit more it was a lot. And then
Yeah.
my whole thumb, the whole thing had popped out, so I was out for 6
Ooh.
months.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So was it a loss due to injury then? Because I did see it was a KO back with Bakersfield Combat, right?
Yeah, it was no, I got caught. I got a little messy, was throwing loopy punches and got clipped.
They were just the right position, the right time for him then.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing to kind of get over the mentals then since then?
Staying in the gym.
Yeah,
Staying in the gym,
staying on it?
making sure I stay busy, just making sure I stay busy, really.
Okay. Well, let's start with your background a little bit. Where did you grow up? Because honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, my friend. Your Tapology page didn't have a whole ton about you, where you were from, or even your age for that matter. So let us know, who is Isaiah? Where did you start fighting, and what really got you into this?
So I started wrestling when I was 7 over at Foothill with their youth program.
Oh
I was
wow.
raised over off and on with I was East Bakersfield.
Mhm.
So from Bakersfield, started wrestling when I was about 7, 8, and then slowly just started building up from there, jujitsu, everything, and I just found MMA extremely interesting, and I was like, baseball I started playing baseball when I was younger, and I was like, "This isn't really violent enough." It sounds terrible, but
It
I
sounds
just
like
kinda
football
like
would be more your speed. I don't think you want to hit or you want to hit people, not baseballs. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they had me yeah, exactly, they had me at catcher, but they had to pull me because I kept making kids cry when I was younger. They're like,
Were
you
you the
can't
kid that
be."
was shoulder checking people? Be honest. You were that kid, weren't you?
I was chasing him down, I was hitting him with the ball, trying to get him out.
Oh, okay, even better. That's comedy right there. Uh, okay, so obviously you grew up in the wrestling game. What got you started at 7? Were you a WWE fan? You just looked at your dad and say, "I want to do that."
Not even, no. One of my tios, his name's Martin Lopez. He got into a car accident when I was younger,
Mm,
um, burned half of his body and everything. This dude still does jujitsu, by the way, still trains, still going at it. But when I was younger, when he had burned his body, everything, he's the one who inspired me to start doing wrestling because he was doing wrestling over at East High.
mm,
So because he was doing wrestling over at East High and everything like that, he was just like, let's put him in. Let's try it. So he started coaching me with youth and everything like that. And I was like, I seen UFC and I seen WWE, and I was like, this UFC stuff is crazy. Like
mm.
when I seen it on Spike TV, when it was still on Spike TV, my cousin would be watching WWE in the other room, and I'd be watching UFC by myself because I was like, this stuff is cool. Like I
Mhm.
like the way it was.
I'm hooked. I'm hooked. Well, how
Yeah,
do you?
pretty
I
much.
mean, looking forward to your debut this Friday night with 559 Fights. How did this whole thing work out? And prepping for this interview, I didn't even see who you're fighting. Do you know anything about who
Mhm.
you're lining up with your debut?
Yeah, his name's Joey Sandoval. I'll be going with be scrapping up with him. They called me probably about 2.5 weeks ago, right before Christmas. I think it was like the 21st or the 22nd. They were like,
Mm.
"Do you want to fight?" All right, fine, sure. I'll I'll get to it. Why
Merry
not?
Christmas.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, pretty much. Merry Christmas. I answered. I was like, "All right, fine." And I looked at his videos and everything. He got clipped last one, so we're just prepping for what we can do. I don't want to get too into detail, but
Of
we're
course.
doing what we can. Yeah, we're just doing what we can. We're
Well, going into that, I mean, a short turnaround, obviously, for this fight, and especially since it's been 2 years since your last major one. What I know, obviously, you stayed in the gym and you've stayed prepped, but what was the thought when you got this call? Like, when you got this, were you shocked? Were you expecting it? Like, what was your mindset?
I was actually expecting to be fighting in February, like the 21st, the 20th, somewhere around there when they have
Mhm,
another show. I was waiting for February, so mentally I was in February.
mhm.
But as soon as this happened, my brain switched and I started telling people for work and everything like that. I was like, please be patient with me because I'm trying to be patient with you.
Right.
Because the mindset completely changes. Like my job, I actually sell bacon wrapped hot dogs over in Vegas.
Oh,
Do
Like
you
nice.
really?
yeah, I started my own thing over in Vegas where like how Martinez Hot Dogs does theirs.
Mhm.
I do my own thing over in Vegas trying to start a food truck. But I'm usually really nice. And then I'm like sitting there, like, you guys are getting on my nerves. So it's the mindset kind of changes once I got the phone call. I was like,
Have you thought
switch.
about, like, do you use your MMA background in your, day-to-day business? Is there, like, a MMA theme to your hot dogs?
No, that's what I wanna do with, when I open up my restaurant. That's
Yes.
what I'm gonna shoot for when get a restaurant, but for now, it's like it's cool because a lot of the people that do follow me for the hot dogs,
Mhm.
they follow me now for MMA, so it, like, kind of is correlated together.
Yeah, intermixed.
Oops,
Absolutely.
sorry about
That's
that.
no, you're good, man.
Right there.
No, that's interesting because that's what I think a lot of businesses
Oh,
today
there we go.
are trying to dabble into something unique like that, and you have that obviously in a natural way. And what better thing to pair? I mean, I know everybody loves chicken wings when they watch sports, but who doesn't love a good hot dog when they're watching something? You know what I
Especially if
mean?
it's bacon
Yeah,
wrapped. You put
Exactly.
bacon on
e
anything.
And where are you at in
exactly.
Vegas? Where I mean, we go to Vegas frequently. We are the affiliate for the Raiders, so we're down there every so often. Where are you located?
Nice. My area is over kind of near Fremont, so the crossroads are Ogden and 6th Street.
Mhm.
So they're right there, kind of by Cortez. I have a little bar that all of my regulars and everybody they expect
Mhm.
me to be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And now that I'm not gonna be there this week, I told them I was like, "Hey, I have to go do something else."
They're
And
all
they're
gonna
like,
be heartbroken. They don't get their bacon
Well,
wrapped hot dog, man. What's wrong
"Yeah,
with you?"
well,
like you said, man, I mean, doing your dream with, not only opening your food truck and wanting and do your own restaurant, but now you get a call right before Christmas. Get ready for this fight. It's coming up. I mean, how does that change your routine? And how's the routine going into a fight like this?
uh, it's good." I'm blessed that I was able to have my coach, Coach Gill, who I originally started with. I was able to fly in to Fresno and get a lot of work in with him this week.
Mhm.
So with the last minute, he was like, "Well, you need to get here. We're gonna work and we're gonna get you prepped up and ready to go." So I was like, I'm gonna completely forget about anything that has to do with hot dogs, anybody, anything. I have to focus on this. I'm staying with him, so wake up, train, get things done. That's it. So it's just get ready for this fight and make sure that, handle it, do work. It's kind of a Bakersfield versus Porterville type of thing if you really
Mm,
think about it. So to me, it's really, really important to make sure that I make this happen.
100%. And honestly, as a debut, obviously this must feel a little different. You've never fought with 559. What are you kind
Mm.
of expecting going into 120?
I go in and do my job.
Yeah.
I go in and do my job. Honestly, that's all I can really do. I just work here. That's really what it
How
is.
you can
True.
control, man.
True. No, that's a very valid point. Is there any aspirations then to kind of further the MMA side of your life? I know obviously you're focused on the restaurant side as well, but do you have
Yeah,
any aspirations to take this to a professional level?
1,000%. So what the restaurant aspect of it, and I only work those 3 days a week so that
Mhm,
I can focus on working training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I can still do Thursday, Friday because it's mornings training. So I did that so that I could actually focus mainly on MMA. And I do plan on this year 3, 4 more Emmys. I get that 559 belt.
mhm.
Once I get that 559 belt for Emmy, then I'm gonna go ahead, take myself to the pro level, and then I'll be doing pro from there and just
Love that.
keep growing, keep
No, I
growing.
love that mindset. We talked to a lot of you guys here at 559, and a lot of them have that aspiration. but none of them ever bring up actually wanting to take the belt off the champion. You're probably one of the second guy that we've had in here that said, "No, I'm taking that belt and I'm walking away with it." And we love that on this show, man. Who do you kind of aspire to, or not aspire to be? That's a bad way to put it. When you were growing up watching UFC, who was the guy that you were watching the most that you kind of emulate in your own way?
Uh, it was Chuck Liddell, actually. Like, it was
Nice.
yeah, it was
My guy too.
Iceman. The
Yeah.
favorite. I would always see him, and I was like, "This dude started wrestling, and then he just started with some kickboxing." And I was like, I wrestle." I was 8 years old. "I wrestle, I could do this." I
Mhm.
was like, I could do that."
The
Hands down.
rivalry between him and Tito, man, was legendary.
That was amazing.
I still watch those fights. Even though Tito gets his butt handed to him most of the time, I still will go back and watch most of those. So
Those are
Chuck is
good. Those are
definitely
classic, man.
do you have anybody that you kinda, like, have your eye on? Like, if you could be a UFC fighter today, you're like, "I want that guy. I would love to go up against him."
It's That's a great question, actually.
Like, you're making me hungry,
It
man. I was thinking about hot
it
I
dogs
know, now
now.
I'm thinking bacon and hot dogs.
When you guys come from Vegas, I would say the the reality of it is let's just say these next 3 years. These next 3 years, it's AMI, pro, pro, and then I get to UFC.
Mm,
We get to there. I think realistically how do you say it? Because it's crazy to say now because I'm in a AMI 559, but it's Patty is up on that list.
mm.
I would say for sure. Patty Pimblett, he's on the list, but I think that's one of the only ones. I just wanna get him. I wanna get him
Mm.
bad.
Well, you seem like you have a pretty good road, or at least a plan of which you're gonna make it to the pros. What route are you expecting to take after 559? Not trying to put you, ahead of yourself, but,
Uh,
like, are you going Bellator? Are you going, like, what direction are you headed?
um, that I do wanna jump, UFC 1,000%. So,
UFC.
a million that it's gonna happen. That I know for sure that's gonna end up being where the route will go. Um, it's just a matter of the work. I
Mm,
think 559, get myself built up, keep doing my work here, keep putting on some great shows,
mm.
and then from there, just it'll all be good.
I wanna ask questions about you as a fighter and what your styles are, but I don't want you to give away anything to your opponent at the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a natural born wrestler, though, we have had plenty of wrestlers in here on the show talk about how they believe wrestling is the best building block, or at least the best starting way for a lot of these guys to get into or MMA, or maybe just the best fighters are wrestlers is pretty much what they were saying. Do you agree with that sentiment, or do you think that, like, no matter which route you go, as long as you dabble in all of it, you'll have a pretty good idea?
I think wrestling is an amazing foundation to start. I think because it makes you stubborn.
Mm,
That thing makes you it's wrestling is it's about who can go longer and who can keep just going and have that grit of just being stubborn. So it creates that little monster inside of you that
mm.
once you turn it on, I think it's a great foundation. And then once you start dabbling in everything else and then you put it all together like a puzzle, then it's good. But I would 1,000% start my kids with wrestling for sure.
Well, that's exciting, dude. I'm super happy for you.
Mhm.
I'm happy that we were able to get you on before your first 559 fight. That is coming up this Friday night at the Eagle Mountain Casino in Porterville. You can get tickets at 559 Fights website or through Eventbrite. Is there anything else you want to throw in before you get out?
I'm ready for you guys to see this. Are you guys gonna be watching? You guys gonna be
Oh,
Oh
there?
yeah.
I'll be watching through Fight Pass. I unfortunately won't be there live because I'll be out of town, but I will be watching you through Fight Pass. Are you on the main card, or are you gonna be on the front card?
It'll be the front, so it'll be the last one for the AMI fights right before they start the
Okay.
pro card.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Good luck in your debut, and we will definitely have you back here very, very soon. Pump up the hot dogs and whatnot. And
Oh,
if we
definitely.
get out there in Vegas, we'll definitely come find you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Let's take a break real quick. This is the early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. I didn't know exactly what I wanted. It has been minutes since I've heard this song.
There's a documentary that me and my boy watched, Juice WRLD, and it is dope.
Is it good?
It is really
Is it about
good.
the concert though, or is it about him?
Not just him.
It's just him.
They travel him around with him that final tour.
Because people forget how messy that concert was, that tour was. Because I mean, people were dropping due to heat exhaustion and stuff like that. And,
I'm a Juice WRLD or Travis Scott?
oh no, that was Travis Scott.
Yeah,
That
Juice
was
WRLD one.
Travis.
The tour was the final tour before he passed, and man, that kid. I mean, he was super young, and if you are a big fan of Juice WRLD, or if you know who he is, I mean, he had some health issues.
Mhm.
And when you give a young kid that type of money and he's traveling with the wrong type of crowd, it's kind of sad, but it's the inside look of, just how bad he was just personally.
Is that
And,
on Netflix or
I believe we watched it on Peacock.
Peacock? Okay,
One of them.
Look out for it.
But it's a good one. I mean, I didn't know a lot about him. I just knew of his music.
Yeah.
But it was intense. But we got a couple more minutes before we bring in Ryan Holt and talk a little Condors.
Who have been on a tear lately.
Yes, and it's a good thing. I know one of the things I wanted to bring up today is the big debate growing over NFL broadcasters, former players that have ties with teams, not only with the Brady thing, which was a big topic last year when we went over to Vegas and was a percentage owner, but now, the Dolphins are bringing in Troy Aikman to help with the GM search. Now, Matt Ryan is in the mix with the Falcons. And even Matt Ryan came out yesterday and said, dude, if and when I take a position with the Falcons, I'm stepping away from broadcasting. So keep my name out that mix. But the other thing is, I mean, I don't see the big issue. I can see other people's their side of it. Brady being able to talk to teams and prep of his broadcasting job, and they thinking, okay, well, he has a step on other teams because he has that kind of treatment he gets. It's Tom Brady anyway.
Right.
Anyone that's going to get a call from Tom Brady's answering that phone anyway.
Yes.
But when it comes to like Troy Aikman, the only thing he's doing is helping a team with a search of a GM, which maybe he has the ties that, I mean, Dan Marino's in the same mix, and not only does he do interviews with HBO and all these, but what is the problem?
The Troy one doesn't make sense to me because what does that change? What does Troy helping Miami do for Miami? Like that all that's doing is getting another pair of eyes and a different brain on, hey, what should we be looking for? That's all that does. The Tom Brady thing, I think that's a little bit different because obviously being a part owner and being pulling back the curtain a little bit for people who don't know how this stuff works. When you're a commentator or a broadcaster, there are something called production meetings. In production meetings, you get exclusive interviews with players, coaches, all that type of stuff. You get access to a ton of stats, all of this stuff that makes these guys look smart, makes them look incredible on television, not to make them all sound like they're dumb. They're all intelligent in their own way, but it's producers. Producers give all of this to hosts and people, and that's why they weren't okay with Tom taking the job, because with that access to players also comes the ability for Tom to essentially do the tampering thing, which we were just talking about with college. You can go up to a guy who's about to become a free agent or a disgruntled player like, say, a Joe Burrow, and say, hey man, over in Vegas, we can take care of you. We can do this, and you'll get in their ear earlier than other teams. That I get. But when it comes to people like Troy and Matt stepping in to help find coaches and help find GMs, that doesn't matter. I don't see why people are upset about this. I really don't. And now everybody's coming and saying, well, Matt's just going to take the CEO job or the president job for the Falcons. And if that happens, great. Heck yeah. Love to see him back in the building. But is that going to help Atlanta? Is Matt Ryan coming over and is going to somehow make Atlanta a powerhouse, to pull people in to come play there? No, it's not. What it's going to do is help Atlanta find a head coach and a GM that's going to be similar to probably a Dan Quinn and a Dimitroff when Matt Ryan was there and they made it to the Super Bowl and they have the mentality to make it to the Super Bowl. That's all they're trying to do. That's literally all it is. So that's why I agree with you. I don't get the gripes against it.
I think you
in
said it
certain
right.
aspects.
I think you said it right. I mean, when it comes to Aikman and Matt Ryan, I think it's just fresh eyes
Yes.
on, keeping someone in that's not bundled up with all the other extra crap that they're seeing. And I like it personally. But when it comes to the Brady thing, I know I heard the show after us, and I believe the guy's a Broncos fan.
Probably.
And he was complaining that, the Brady thing or the Brady one really irritated him because, if Denver's going into say a second round playoff game like they are in a couple weeks, and say Brady's doing the play-by-play, and he's going in knowing, okay, he's gonna get an insight on the game plan and what they're doing. What does that have to do with anything? And he's saying, if he worked with Denver and he had Brady on the premises and we're talking, he said, I'm not saying anything around him.
Here's the thing, though. You're all saying that, or they're saying that as if Brady is going to be funneling all of that info to the Raiders, as if they're going to be playing the Raiders. If it came down to the Broncos and the Raiders in the playoffs at any point in time, Brady wouldn't be part of the broadcasting crew. They wouldn't allow it. It's called conflict of interest. They would pull him, probably put someone like Tony Romo or Greg Olson in the chair, and you'd be fine. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. That's why I'm saying, like, you have to separate the two first and foremost. Aikman's not taking a position with the Miami Dolphins. He's just assisting them. And until Matt Ryan does the same, you can't say it's any different than Troy. Now, if Matt takes the president job, then it starts to become more of a Tom Brady thing. But as we said when we started this segment, Matt's already saying, if I get that job, I'm out anyway. I don't need to be a broadcaster. I can go and do what I want to do over here. So he doesn't need to be there. So I don't get the gripes. I mean, I think it's just when Tom Brady did it, everybody was hating because, the inside information, inside track. And I also have to highlight, you really think these production crews and these TV guys have information that coaches and coaching staffs don't already? Like, you really think, like, the only thing that I could see this being an issue is if they gave him play calling, or if they got, like, Sean Payton told him, oh, we're gonna air raid with this. These are the plays we're gonna use all the time, Tom. And then he funneled those plays to the Raiders. That's the only time where that would be an argument, but that doesn't happen. And coaches also aren't that stupid. They're not going to tell Tom Brady and the television crew, much like our guy Isaiah, or our 559 fighter Isaiah was just in here telling us too. He ain't going to tell us what the heck he's going to do in a fight because that gives it away. That's the whole point. So
a lot of these fans are just calling them double standards, and it's the Brady rule and blah, 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 blah.
It's not.
What did he do last year?
Right.
I mean, he got Pete Carroll, and he got Pete Carroll for a year. And look at the Raiders. They got the first pick in the draft. I get it. If the Raiders were playing and they were playing somebody and Brady was doing the play-by-play, which would never happen.
Yeah. The only people that I feel should be complaining are the commentators that they're taking jobs away from. Your Greg Olsons, your I guess Jonathan Vilma's would be a great one because he actually is really good at what he does. But again, the players that could be coming in and filling those roles of Tom Brady and Matt Ryan and all those commentators, if they were to still continue to be commentators, those are the only ones that should be complaining because you're taking jobs away from people that could be taking them. You have two jobs that are paying you ridiculous amounts of money. Let's be honest. You don't need both. I appreciate how hard a worker these guys are, but you don't. You really don't. Everybody else, all the fan bases, all that, what does this do to you? Let's be honest. You're just complaining for the sake of complaining. And just like the Bronco fan, all you're afraid of is that the Raiders become relevant before you guys can finally take the reins again. And be happy. You took the reins this year. You won the division again. Woohoo! It's 2015. Except Peyton Manning's not your quarterback. And you're probably not going to make a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. But I'm saying, am I wrong?
I don't know. I think the AFC is wide open. So
I think it is too. But the offensive inconsistencies of the Broncos, we cannot deny that it's glaring.
And I both sides, number one seeds.
Yeah.
It's defensive win championships.
Oh,
and
100%.
hopefully it happens. I personally am as a football fan, I would like to see some type of change up and see a team that no one's talking about, whether it's Jacksonville or Houston over there in the AFC, and
As
maybe
w-
somebody in the NFC, maybe Chicago, maybe somebody like that would be cool to see.
As weird as it is to say, I am kind of rooting for Jacksonville. And I was not a Liam Cohen fan at all coming into
Oh,
this
I
season.
remember.
I didn't believe in him. He's made a believer out of me. Just keep Duval. Just keep that at home. We don't. It's just like 6-7. We're gonna keep that in 2015. We are not gonna talk about that anymore. We're done after this. But I would love to see Jacksonville make a run at it. Trevor Lawrence has had an incredible second half of the season. He's even put himself in MVP contention, which is crazy if you think about it. But it just, I agree. I think this is the perfect year. We don't have the Chiefs. We don't have to worry about a Tom Brady. This is the perfect year for somebody different to take the reins. I don't think Philadelphia really is clicking as much as they would like to be, although they're still going to find ways to win games. I would love to see somebody different though take it. And that would mean someone like the Rams would have to go down as well, but we'll see. The NFC side is just as wide open as the AFC side is. Let's take a break. I know our guy Ryan Holt will be joining us right afterwards. We'll talk all things Condors hockey as they have jumped into a tie for third place in the Pacific Division. After the win yesterday, we'll have 2 more games away from home in Abbotsford before they return home on Sunday to take on the Ontario Reign for a fun day, family fun day, I think is what they're calling it. Sunday fun day, whatever you want to call it. So we will talk to him about that, plus everything they got going on afterwards. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We are also streaming video live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, where you can come talk to our friend and voice of the Condors, Mr. Ryan Holt, every single Wednesday, who I believe is live from Abbotsford. I can only assume.
I'm live. There's no cell service up here, but I think I have the hamster wheel going with the Wi-Fi. I think we're okay.
I think that's what I'm saying, man. When you reach the border of Canada, that's where the Wi-Fi cuts off. You know, Canada doesn't have the same stuff.
They don't believe in 5G. There's no LTE. Billy Bob Thornton is like running around with his phone up here. Like, we're fine.
Let's start with this fantastic stretch the Condors have been on. Obviously undefeated last week. We started this road stretch off great last night with a 5-2 win, 5-3 win.
5-3. Yeah, they scored late.
So how are we looking? How pivotal are these games against Abbotsford before we come back to take on Ontario?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, Abbotsford's obviously the defending Calder Cup champions, and this team is different than the one last year, right? When you're the champs, you're going to get picked apart, and other teams are going to poach some players, and that's exactly what happened to this Abbotsford team. And they're injured, they're banged up, but Colin Chalk said it last night. There's no easy game in this division, right? Like. If Matt Tompkins isn't good last night, if Quinn Hudson doesn't score twice in the first period, this game looks a little different last night. I thought Abbotsford played pretty well. They had 39 shots, and it's a team that offensively has struggled this year, right? And they're itching to get anything positive here going into the kind of second half of the season. So big for the team to get a win last night. Hopefully another one tonight, and then on to San Jose Saturday, and then home on Sunday. It's a grind of a week here. It's a grind of a month, but hey, when you're winning, things tend to look a little bit better and feel a little bit better.
And obviously we are in a tie with points with the Barracuda right now before we actually face them in a couple days. This is the busiest month for the Condors by far when it comes to games. 7 at home, 7 away. How do you feel like this young team is going to adjust to that?
Yeah, I think they enjoy not practicing, which is nice. We actually hadn't been on the ice until yesterday morning for the last since Saturday's win. So I think right now this time of the year is all about making sure that you're ready to go when the puck drops at game time, right? And whatever that means for you, whether that's a morning skate, whether that's a workout, whether that's a walk around. You can't really walk outside in Abbotsford. It's raining all the time, but whatever that means for you. So same thing like today, right? Whatever you need to get yourself ready for game time. And it's a credit to the coaching staff, the training staff, and making sure that everyone's as good as possible. And they're just looking for that 2 to 3 hour window where you want to maximize the best hours of your day is game time. And so far it's worked. So hats off to them, and hopefully it keeps going.
Well, of course, I mean, we're playing some good hockey. Who have been some of the, most impactful players, whether it's players that are stepping up into, bigger roles or just playing above their expectations right now?
Yeah, I think you said it best there in terms of, players stepping up, right? Hudson has obviously come back to us yesterday, but he was gone for the last week and missed him for 2 games, and Howard went up to the NHL and has been up there. But you look at who's that kind of next step, and I think defensively is where this team has been really strong here, especially over the last week. We've only allowed 5 goals, I think, in our last 4 games, and it's a credit to guys like Damian Carfagna and Bo Akey, 2 rookies, one out of Ohio State and one out of junior hockey, 2 young guys on the back end. And we've had a lot of injuries back there. Lepinen's been out injured. He's going to miss the next couple of weeks. Cam Dineen just came back, but he's been out for the last 2 months. So you're without some veterans back there, and you asked 2 rookies to step in, eat a lot of minutes, and they've performed well. They've been plus players. Carfagna scored in the power play last night, and it's a credit to them. 2 guys who are prospects in the organization, but kind of on the back burner a little bit just because of the amount of veterans we had back there. But those guys got hurt. It was their opportunity, and they've been great.
We can't talk defense without talking about the goaltender, though. I mean, Unger's been absolutely stellar the last 2 weeks. Talk about how much that, or how big that's been for the team to have somebody back there that's just been able to stop all these shots.
Yeah, he's been in the 7 hole, right? He started this season, in an organization where, he was the 7th goaltender. If you listed out, 1 through 7 in the organization, he's the 7th goaltender. So usually that guy, some teams don't even have 7 goaltenders, they might have 6, and he wasn't even in the quote unquote organization, right? Like, Fort Wayne has 2 Oilers contracted goalies that are rookies in Fort Wayne and our ECHL affiliate in AA. So Unger actually went to Greensboro and he went to Orlando and played a little bit for Fort Wayne too. And, credit to him because he could have sulked and said, you know what, for lack of a better term, screw you guys. Like, what's going on? Like, you signed me to an NHL deal. I know there's a different management group, but, credit to him because, he kind of just put his head down, worked. And when that opportunity came, right, they make the trade with Skinner. Ingram goes up because Jari gets hurt. Now there's an opportunity. It wasn't, hey, we're just going to take the guys in Fort Wayne. It's which goaltender is performing the best. Unger is at the ECHL level, gets an opportunity at the AHL level. And let's face it, I mean, he's 3-0 with a .950 save percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's outstanding. And he'll get the start tonight. And, him and Tompkins have flipped back and forth here the last couple of games. Tompkins been very good here over his last 10. So things are looking up in that regard.
Absolutely. And real quick, because I know we've talked about the road life for you guys and how you guys usually travel. Please tell me you didn't take the bus all the way to Abbotsford. You didn't?
No, we fly. Yeah, Abbotsford's the toughest for us in terms of travel, just because with our gear we have to fly out of LA, so we have to get down to LA. But obviously Abbotsford isn't in Vancouver; it's about an hour and a half outside of Vancouver. So that's 2 bus rides on either end of the flight. So we left yesterday or Monday at, I think like 7:30 in the morning. We got into our hotel probably around 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. So that's a grind of a day for these guys. It's as seamless as it could have gone. But, at the end of the day, it's still a 3.5 hour flight and 2 bus rides on either end. So it's our toughest outlet to get to, just because we're an outlet with Bakersfield. Not having a major airport and not being able to get out easily with all of our gear. So it's a little bit of a different grind, but hats off to the equipment staff and the travel crew, because that's not an easy gig and it's a thankless job.
No, not at all. And we've talked about it a little bit, but it is kind of the starting of the second half of the season. Currently, the Condors are in the top half of the Pacific Division. But where do you really think that the Condors need to be at the end of the year to make a shot at the Cup? Where do we need to be? Do we need to be in the top 3? Are we kind of safe at 4? Where do you think is the ideal spot?
Yeah, top 4 get you home ice in round 1, and that round 1 series is a best of 3, right? So you want to be able to host those games. You don't want to have to, make plans to travel. I mean, we've seen that before, and the benefit of being on home ice is huge, especially in that first round kind of mini series that kind of leads in. But yeah, I think, the Condors are in a great spot right now. I think you look at the top of this division, with Ontario, San Jose, Colorado, and the Condors in that mix. I think those are the top 4 teams, in the division, and I think when you look at it, Colorado has a little bit of everything. Their NHL team is great as well. Ontario is our toughest matchup. They're physical, they can score, they have good goaltending. That's a tough matchup for us. And then San Jose, we've had their number a bit because they kind of play the same style of game that we do, and I think we're just better at it than them. So it is interesting at the top. It's a little bit of a shakeup from last couple of years, with San Jose being in the mix now this year, and the Condors kind of being in the mix this year up top. But I think this Condors team is a team that, when you look at game 1 and then you look at game 72, they're going to look completely different. And They're going to say, you're going to look at it and go, wow, this is a really complete team. So, hats off to the management crew, because the cupboards were bare and they restocked them. And, here we are midway point and in a really good spot.
Which is a good thing. And you brought up the home ice. So coming back home Sunday, and I know you guys are the king of promotions. Is there anything you want to promote for Sunday's game to get some people out there?
Yeah, it's our family Sunday fun day, right? So, we want to try and introduce, some more family-friendly start times. We're all about trying new and exciting things. And, yeah, it's a 4 o'clock Sunday start. So we'll get everything going at about 2 o'clock. We'll have bounce houses and obstacle courses and slap shot booth, face painting, sign making, all out front, beginning at 2. Doors open at
this, because I know a lot of 20-year-olds.
No age limit. No age limit. Yeah, jump on the Yeah, you want to take slap shots and bounce houses, you can feel
yeah.
free. And then inside, obviously, we'll have the game at 4, and then after the game, all the kids are invited down to take a slap shot on the ice too. So
Oh,
for
that's
those
awesome.
for those who've never been down on the ice or got an opportunity to even shoot a puck, that's a chance on Sunday. So family friendly, 4:00 start, so you'll be back by dinner and back tucked into bed for the kids with school the next day. So trying something new and always willing to try new things throughout the year. So family Sunday fun day coming up on Sunday.
Do families need to register anything to have their kids on the ice, or is it just kind of like stay till after the game kind of a thing?
You'll have to sign a waiver at some point. That's above my pay grade. At some point, it'll be all in your phone, and it'll
Ice
be at the
is
game. But
slippery, and people tend to fall when they hit it.
So you don't need to register. Any kid that wants to go down and have a slap shot on the ice, they're certainly welcome to.
Fantastic. Well, my friend, thank you so much for your time. Good luck there at Abbotsford, and we will see you next week and talk all about how this entire road trip went.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk soon.
Let's shift over real quick. We got a couple minutes before we get out of here for the day. There was an interesting story, Sparky, that I wanted to float to you because I just thought this was kind of an odd duck one, but the Cincinnati Bengals had another flub from one of their players. Obviously, this happened during the season, but it has come to fruition of what his sentencing will be. But Cam Taylor-Britt was sentenced to 5 days in prison for reckless driving and driving without a license, which is a misdemeanor, and you can get up to 30 days in prison, plus I believe a $250 fine or something of that nature. It might actually be even more than that, but they gave him 5 days, which in my opinion is a gift for what you did, because apparently, and this is what city officials are allegedly saying, that Taylor-Britt did a burnout on the wrong side of the road on September 14th, less than half a mile from Paycor Stadium following Cincinnati's Week 2 game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Are we not going to learn to get, are we going to have to put in contracts? I don't mean we, but our NFL teams going to have to put in contracts now that these players can't get in cars. You can't even drive yourself anymore. Because this is just getting ridiculous.
And he didn't have a license?
Nope, no license.
I wonder if that's a deeper story, but it's out of control, man.
The burnouts, the wild stories that we hear every single year. I mean, I know everybody highlights Henry Ruggs.
A couple weeks ago was the Brandon Ayuk.
Right, Brandon Ayuk speeding past the stadium and stuff like that. And, we had Rashee Rice, obviously, with his situation this offseason.
Shador, I mean, it's been going around. And I mean, you give that young kid some money, and I mean, I would be getting a nice ass car, and I probably want to test it out. But you got the money, man. Take it to a track.
And it has been explained to me, because I say the same thing. I'm like, why are you driving this car so recklessly? Pay attention to the speed you're driving, all that type of stuff. It has been explained to me from people who do drive sports cars or have driven sports cars, because I have driven very little sports cars, and not in size, I mean in number. And they tell me all the time, you'll fly to 90 without even realizing it. It'll feel like you're going 60.
Guilty.
I get that. I completely understand that. But in certain situations like this one, this clearly wasn't you just saying, oh, I lost control of my car. You're doing a burnout on the wrong side of the road in front of the stadium, or near the stadium at least, with no license. And you're absolutely right, Spark. I think you hit the nail on the head. There is more to this story in terms of why you don't have a license, Mr. Taylor.
I'm just saying.
I'm just going to sit there and assume that it has something to do with doing burnouts on the wrong side of the road.
It's got to be something with you behind the wheel. It's the reason that they don't want you on the road.
And obviously this just puts another sprinkle on the Sunday that is the dumpster fire that is the Cincinnati Bengals season this year. But hey, I know a lot of Cincinnati Bengals fans that are absolutely livid right now that Zach Taylor still has a job, but John Harbaugh got fired.
And speaking of the Bengals, I did see a cool positive type story with Joe Flacco. He said that on his way out of the building that he signed a jersey for and left for Jamar Chase, and said he is one of the greatest wide receivers he's ever played with, and he's looking forward to being home and watching the guy in his future years with the Bengals. But I thought it was a kind of a cool
that's a very cool nod. I love that.
And he did it when no one was around. He said he just left it with no note. He just said it was a pleasure to play with you, and he thinks he is one of the greatest to ever play the game at wide receiver.
He will be at the end of his career, especially if he gets or continues to get the same amount of flow that he's getting right now. But that's a lot. That's a very, very good not pat on the back. I'm forgetting the word I'm trying to say here, but you get what I mean.
Mhm.
That's a nice little sentiment. There we go, from Joe Flacco to the wide receiver, especially with all the wide receivers that he's played with that are historical. And I mean, none incredibly Hall of Fame worthy, I would say, because I don't think Anquan Bolden will really go down as a Hall of Famer. But the longevity of his career and Joe Flacco and who he's played with and played against, he's seen some of the best wide receivers in the NFL come and go. And to give Jamar the same kind of respect, I think he's right to give it to him too, to be honest with you.
And it could be his final jersey.
And
I mean, it very well could. And Schefter did report on a coaching tracker that Raheem Morris has now officially scheduled 3 interviews next week, starting with Arizona, then the Giants and Tennessee. And reports out of Giants camp is that they are all in on Harbaugh, just like the rest of
everybody else.
A head coach.
Again, I think everybody is really missing the thought here that this man just spent almost 2 decades with some. Imagine being, and again, because it really is like a relationship. Imagine being with somebody for 18 years, and then just something bad happens. You guys break up, and now you have this influx of people that are just wanting your attention. You're not going to want to give any of them the attention.
And of course, the president of the United States tweets out, "Everybody hurry up and sign Harbaugh. He's one of the greatest." Just stay out of it, dude, please.
Was this a tweet or was this on True Social?
Yeah,
nobody else is.
Yeah,
again, the Orange Man is a sports fan. Our president is that's what he is. He is who he is. That is Donald J. Trump, and that is the president of the United States. That's just all I'm going to say about that. I can't necessarily say.
Do you think we get the first hire in the next week or so?
Probably. I would think that I think Raheem Morris might honestly be one of the first ones hired, especially with Arizona. I was actually trying to wrap my head around that right now, and that makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you, because they, as much of a losing organization that has been recently, they really aren't that bad on a roster. They just have to deal with the Rams and the Niners and all the rest of the NFC multiple times a year. And now the Seahawks, who magically have become the NFL's second best defense. It's hard really to be successful in those types of things. But I think Raheem Morris could be a really good coach to go in there and kind of rally them and at least make it a considerable thought that they can take some of those teams down. I really could. And if you get them the right quarterback, they could figure it out. They really could. But again, everybody going after John Harbaugh. I don't think Harbaugh would be the first one hired. I think he would be if he wanted to be. But I'm telling you guys, I think we're going to see a little bit of time before John makes the decision, and it could be a year. It really could.
That's what I'm thinking.
You don't just walk away from a situation like this, especially having the team turn on you. Let's not forget that.
That's
as
the
well.
more I'm reading. The more I'm reading is that he lost that locker room.
The players turned on you, which means you're shot in the heart, man. I don't think people are really taking that into consideration, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow when we get back here 7 to 9. Join us, please. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until then, here comes Blech and Abdallah. Sparky, let's get out of here.